Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Renovation and Outdoor. Halloween round the corner, so I hope you've all been getting yourselves organised in your costumes or getting the locks on your doors to keep people out. No, is my jacket strobing? New jacket. It might be strobing. Let me know if it is. Today's top 10, by the way, at the end of the show is Halloween themed, including a home DIY project. Okay, now this is something which I challenge anyone to out DIY. It is quite extraordinary, over the top, and I imagine probably American, but we'll show you that at the end of the show today. So last week, we were talking about protecting your home. When it comes to home security, I think we covered off the fact that the brand Yale, well, it's been a market leader for as long as anyone can remember. And we spoke to Ronnie Pocock, who worked for Assa Abloy, okay, and they sell Yale products, and one of the products they sell is the Yale Access. Now, this is a system which allows you basically to turn any Yale lock into the latest in smart tech home security. The Access system basically connects your lock to an app on your phone, and you can control those locks. You can lock and unlock your home from anywhere in the world, basically, all controlled through the app on your phone, and you can program it, etc. He gave us a whole idea about the system. And he also gave us a system of its own to give to you, including not just the access system to transfer the lock into this brilliant remote smart tech app, but also the lock itself. I'll give you details of how you can win this later on in the show today. And today we're going to stick with innovation. And when it comes to innovation, well, we decided we'd welcome back a friend of the show, Robert Knight from Schneider Electric. Robert, who you will remember, has been on the show a couple of times. The last time, Robert, I think you were showing us the latest in Bluetooth plugs and electrical sockets. You would love that smart tech. Have you come across that Yale Access tech before, the remote?
No, I haven't seen that particular model, no, but these things are just, gaining advancements all the time. There's some very cool tech out there now, eh?
Oh, completely. Imagine never losing your key again.
That's exactly right, yeah. Just got to make sure you don't forget your PIN code.
Exactly, yeah, because if you lose your phone, there is a PIN code, of course. Yeah. Anyway, we want to talk about this is part of the tech revolution, and it's EVs, electric vehicles. There's no doubt now, after quite some years of skepticism, and it's been quite hard for a lot of people to adopt, but the revolution is very much upon us, isn't it? I mean, about 18,000 odd EVs on New Zealand roads already.
Yeah, it's about 18,000 on New Zealand roads at the moment, which is actually almost twice what Australia has. So we're definitely punching well above our weight when it comes to EVs in New Zealand. By the end of 2021, the government target is to have somewhere in the number of 61,000 vehicles. So, not a day goes by if you're driving around that you don't see electric vehicles now. They're becoming pretty much commonplace. One of the biggest things that a lot of people sort of aren't sure about when it comes to EV charging is, what size charger do you go for? What type of installation should you be using? We do all sorts of different sizes depending on the situation. We've got units that can be for domestic purposes. We even do a lot of sort of industrial products. You'll see our EV chargers outside the warehouse and stuff like that. So, a lot of people.
Yes, sorry for interrupting, Robert. You guys lost me, I think. I for some reason, just completely cut out.
Honest.
See, this is the problem when we talk smart tech. So I've read myself. I'm next to my modem, okay? Utterly typical. So I now have no idea what you were saying, but I know that you were telling everyone all about EV. So what I'm going to do is just find out what I need to know, and you've probably already covered it off. So if you're watching and Robert's already told you about this, because I know that he will have carried on talking, because Robert, you've become a pro at this now, then so be it. But one of the things which got me, I mean, as you just mentioned, just before I cut out, you were talking about the government targets to get, 64,000 by the end of next year. Wow, that's a heck of a target. And that involves what we're going to talk about in a moment, these products, but it also talks about the regulation and the requirements about EVs changing. Can you tell us a little bit about that, about how we're preparing for what we hope will be this influx of smart tech?
Yeah, so going forward, all new builds and I guess major renovations are going to need to be at least pre-wired to accept electric vehicle chargers. These things do require their own dedicated cable to the switchboard and a reasonable amount of space in the switchboard as well too for the protection equipment. So the government are legislating to make that a mandatory requirement to at least put the infrastructure in place for future installs.
So, Robert, if you're planning a reno, because this is a renovation show, so if you're planning a reno, you'd be mad not to be planning for this, or you
100%.
for it.
Well, yeah, so going forward, it will be mandatory. We've kind of been pushing the fact that it's not expensive to pre-wire for an electric vehicle charger during, a renovation where you've got the walls open, you're able to run cables. The cost of the cables will be very, very minimal. If people want to go the whole way and put the actual charger unit in during the renovation, you're only looking around about 2,500, maybe to 3,500, depending on the model that you choose. So it's not a massive investment to get that in during the project anyway.
Yeah, I guess, if you're talking about a major renovation, I know it all adds up, but given the longevity of this, however, having said that, you can just still charge your EVs with a normal socket.
Well, you can do. I mean, I think most EV vehicles come with, literally a 3-pin plug where you kind of plug it in. But, there's a couple of pitfalls that you kind of run into there. And one of them in particular is the speed of charging. You plug your electric vehicle into a standard 3-pin socket. It's quite likely going to take a good 12 hours to bring it up to charge. Now, what a lot of people don't realize is that electric vehicles have got a lot of built-in intelligence into their charging systems, and they won't start charging until the required power is available. So if you plug in your electric vehicle when you get home on a Sunday night, 6 p.m. say, and you're cooking the Sunday roast and a lot of other things going on, you're doing the washing, the dryers on, your EV charger may not actually start charging until all that power is available. And of course, if you think about it, it doesn't start charging until maybe 11 p.m. at night. You want to go somewhere at 6 a.m. in the morning, your car's not going to be charged. You need that high capacity charge.
Yeah, and of course you think, well, it's been plugged in since 5 o'clock yesterday afternoon, and you're feeling a bit ripped off. So, all right. So now we have, so let's say we get a specific specialized charger installed. Again, there are different types, yeah?
Yeah, well, different power supplies, different outputs. Some work on single phase power, which is your traditional house. Some work on 3-phase power, which is generally your bigger properties. And then you've got your different power outputs of your chargers as well: 3.7 kilowatts, 7.4, 11, 22 kilowatts, etc. It's not the power of the charger that dictates how fast the car charges. It's what the charging system in the vehicle is. So if you've got a vehicle with a 7.4 kilowatt charging system, you want to have a similar charger that's going to take full advantage of that speed.
Tell me about we know that the technology is advancing so fast. Is there a chance potentially that your EV manufacturers are going to go too fast for us to catch up when it comes to chargers, or is there is there a guarantee that the systems we install today will be as relevant in 5 years' time?
Yeah, so the EV chargers that we sell and what we're talking about today are simply power supplies, okay? So they're not actually battery chargers. They're not the smarts of the charging system. They're simply a high-capacity, reliable power supply that people plug into their vehicles, and then the vehicle does all the smart stuff. I think even as technology continues and new vehicles come on board, different battery systems, different charging systems, it'll still be the same power supply that will continue to run those.
So it might be a case that, much like we might upgrade our socket, what the actual physical look of the socket looks like, the reality is that as long as that power supply is carrying the right the right voltage, the right type of power, the right circuitry, then it's going to be fairly eternal, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, yeah. I mean, some cars have different plugs as such. We do what they call Type 1 and Type 2 connectors. Type 2 seems to be the most common these days. Pretty much most of the vehicles are running Type 2 now, but we also have units that have removable cables as well. So you can have an EV charger on your wall, and you don't have to actually dictate what cable that comes with. You can buy that separately. So it can charge a number of different vehicles if you've got, more than one car, and they may have the two different types of plugs, perhaps.
Yeah, see, that's an interesting one, isn't it? Because if things go as we're anticipating, we might end up with 2 or 3 or 4 EV. I mean, we flip in New Zealand. We love our cars. We've got ridiculous numbers of cars, almost as many as we have boats. So how do you get around that when you might have 2 or 3 cars in the driveway?
Well, I guess that's going to require somebody to have one of our EV units with a removable cable. So basically, what that's going to do, it's going to be a power supply only instead of having the fixed cable in the side of the charger where it can't be removed or changed. It's simply a plug-in unit, and that way they can literally either use the charger that comes with the car or the cable that comes with the car, or they can actually just purchase one off us, which will suit whatever car they've got.
Can I go back to the Type 1 and Type 2? Is this a bit like, and this will date us all, Betamax versus VHS? And by the way, if you're watching and you've never heard of Betamax, then let me know, because it proves that we've got viewers who are under the age of probably about 40.
Yeah.
But so, I mean, is that what's going on there, or is it slightly more complex than that? It's not just a brand thing.
Yeah, well, no. Well, I mean, the Type 1, the small connector's been kind of pretty much obsolete now for a few years, to be fair. Type 2 covers most of it. Yeah, instead of your sort of Betamax and VHS, it's kind of a little bit like Samsung and Apple, where they've got the two different cables going on. Type 2 is pretty much the standard nowadays. But if people are concerned about that, you just buy the unit without the cable, and then you simply purchase the cable to suit the car.
Okay, because all the units will be adaptable to whichever cable you're using.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. No, we're future-proof for that. We're not going to lock people into something that they won't be able to use going forward, eh?
And that's what's so important. So now let's talk about this, because the one on the right, the commercial, that's what we're seeing popping up sporadically around the place. I think, I know near here, I know if I go down to McDonald's down the bottom of this road, that I can plug into one of these, or up the road. So those are what we're seeing. But the residential ones, that's obviously what you got. Are you selling? Do you sell both of these?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, they're both Schneider Electric units. The commercial one has certain places, obviously. You're talking, car parks. The warehouse has our units out the front of a lot of the warehouse stores. As you say, a lot of shopping centres now have the commercial units of some description. People want the convenience to charge up at home. Nothing's better than having that ability just to plug in your car and having it ready to go the next day. It's not kind of like popping down the service station and filling up, which takes 2 minutes. Charges, even the big high performance charges, are still minimum 30 minutes, if not an hour, to charge up a car. So you've kind of got to have something to do while that's happening, but people want to do it at home, eh?
But at the same time, this is the thing about the residential ones, because as long as you're well organised, I mean, for goodness sake, it's a complete pain having to go via the service station. That's why certain people I know, no names mentioned, might run out of petrol occasionally, because they've just decided that they can probably do one more trip before they have to bother going down to the service station. So when we look at those two units, your commercial one, I mean, that's price prohibitive for putting in your driveway.
People generally wouldn't go to that sort of a unit. It's going to need three-phase power input as well, so it's going to need a particular type of, power supply and voltage to run. So that's pretty much, dedicated for your commercial applications. The residential wall box that you're seeing there on the left-hand side, that comes in various sizes anyway. You can do that unit up to 7.4 kilowatts single phase, or 22 kilowatts three-phase. So even if you had a big property which had three-phase power, you can still have a relatively small wall box that's going to charge a car. You don't need that great big commercial unit.
Yeah, of course. And so, what is the charge time? You reckon off one of those residential boxes? What do you reckon the average charge? Because as you say, you're not having to wait in turn for the rest of the house to start. Can you tell us how long it'll take?
It's going to depend a lot on the car. There's so many different variants, but
I've got a brand new top of the range Tesla. How long is it going to take me?
Potentially 2 to 4 hours,
Okay,
something like that, to charge up a vehicle on that sort of a power supply.
and
If you look at a standard 3-pin plug, 12 hours.
yeah, let's talk realistically. I've got a third-hand Nissan Leaf, which has only got about 6 battery. That would take, well, again, it's just 2 or 3 hours, really, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. But like I say, you've got to, really cater for the fact that it's not going to start charging until late evening once the power's available. So you've got to have it ready to go to work in the morning. You don't want to get halfway to the office and run out of juice on the Harbour Bridge.
How popular is it? I mean, what sort of demand are you seeing? How many inquiries are you seeing at now compared to maybe a year ago?
Oh, it's massive, man. It's our biggest growing category now. We are getting multiple demand. We've got a dedicated product manager now that only talks electric vehicle chargers. It would be our biggest growing product range by a long spell.
That is interesting. But and is there a huge variety of products, or is it literally just residential or commercial?
No, there is actually quite a big selection of different models available. They all kind of look very similar. So if you're looking at your residential wall box, they all look very similar, but they've all got different power supplies required, depending on what they're going to be needing to be done. We also do some smart chargers too. That these are great for maybe apartment complexes where more than one person is going to be using them. We have units which have what we call RFID, and they come with a range of little swipe cards. So, you give all the residents their own swipe card, they swipe it onto the charger, they charge their vehicle. The body corporate can actually download that information at the end of the month and then charge that out accordingly. So, you can get basic units for residential use. You can get the smart versions for, for multiple dwellings. So no, there's a big variety available. So a bit of a conversation to be had of what they need.
Yeah, that's clever. And you did cover off the various different sort of requirements, power supply wise. And so $2,500 is your starting cost. Is that what you said?
Yeah, generally, yeah. So there's some protection equipment that's got to go in the switchboard. So people have to. If they're doing a renovation where there's a switchboard upgrade, you need a certain amount of space for the protection gear. So generally, we would estimate between about 2.5 and 3.5 installed. So that's the whole 9 yards, the unit, the cable, the protection equipment, the labour to install it. It's not expensive. It's not a $10,000-$20,000 investment. It's really quite low value. And when you look at what people put into renovations, it's a pretty small percentage of their investment to future proof.
And add that to what people put in the tanks as well of the cars.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, electric vehicles are going to pay for itself very quick.
Average Sparky can do it, or do you really want to get the specialized team in?
No, we allow the average electrician to do this. It's not super high tech, so the average registered electrician will be able to do this. Yeah.
Awesome. Hey, that's it's great, isn't it? And I think I don't know. I'm a big advocate. I would love it. Basically, based on the fact that I would not have to pay very much for power for fueling my car ever again. On that front alone, but and I love the idea of the convenience. And I know what you said; it takes a long time, but I love the convenience of literally plugging it in overnight and having a full tank of juice in the morning.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to watch this space, Robert, and see how we go on that target to see if we can get to that 64,000 by the end of wow, that's 14 months away. So yeah, who knows? Well, that's an interesting one.
It'll happen. I can see it happening now. Like I say, you drive down the road, you're not going to go on any trip around the countryside without seeing electric vehicles on the road now.
And as we see that tech escalate in performance and diminish in price, you're absolutely right. Hey, Robert, thank you very much indeed. I really appreciate you coming on, particularly having to sort of tide things over. Am I still here? Yes, I am. Sorry, just something happened. I'm having major technical difficulties today. I need Schneider around here to try and sort me out. But Robert, thank you very much indeed for your time and also for holding the fort early on while I was cutting in and out. Really good to see you again. I know you've done 2 or 3 shows with us this year. Would love to see you again before Christmas. So we'll think about what next we can talk about. There'll be 1,000 things. So good on you, and we'll see you before Christmas.
Thank you.
Cool. And we're going to just mention, I mentioned beforehand about our giveaway, because this comes straight off the back of, this is our smart tech. If you were watching last week, this is the Assure, this is the lock and Yale access kit. So with this, you're going to get your module, you're going to get your Connect Wi-Fi bridge, and you're going to get the DoorSense system. But also, in addition to what we can see here, we're also, the team are also giving us, Asser Abloy team are also giving us the actual lock itself. Okay, so which is probably half the cost. So that's about, I think I seem to remember that was about $500 worth all up to get your top of the range Yale lock plus all that access kit. Goes to any phone, you download your app, and away you go. So you want to win it, you have to like our page, and please tell us when Yale was founded. Okay, that's the question which you have to answer. Okay, like our page and tell us when Yale was founded. Okay, we will announce the winners next week, next Friday, so you can win that next Friday. Get it all set up well in time for Christmas. So finally, to our top 10. Now today it's Halloween, tomorrow. Top 10 Halloween tomorrow, Saturday. Tis tomorrow. Top 10 Halloween decorations. No, it's a couple of days away, of 2020. Okay, at number 10. Specifically to 2020. Okay, here you go. RIP concerts, festivals, Mike's Hawaii trip, sanity. There is a very unique 2020 graveyard. At number 9, top of our top 10 Halloween decorations for the year, the V-Dub spider sculpture. That's epic. Number 8, we've got the Death Rider. Definitely will scare the children. I hope they've animated it as well. Number 7, this is the Spooky Yard. This is, okay, that's, now we're beginning to move into American overkill territory, okay? At number 6, Pandemic Halloween. That's clever. That's it. That's the most frightening thing about 2020 for our Halloween. A bloody great mask across the front of the house. At number 5, I love this one. This is it. It's so clever. And of course, you've got to know the movie, but if you know the movie, you know exactly what's happening there. I love it. Number 4 of top 10 Halloween top 10 Halloween decorations 2020. This is Spooky Manor, just going slightly overboard. At number 3, well, you know what's scary? 4 more years of me. So right. When's the election? November the 3rd, I think. May only be another week. At number 2 of the top 10 scariest Halloween, what are they called? Halloween decorations of 2020. It is 2020. That's it. The scariest thing I could think of, as the sign says. And number 1, this is the DIY project I challenge anyone to try and outstrip. The top Halloween decoration for 2020 is that. Now you think, look at the size of the thing. I mean, that's a pretty big house behind it. Look at the size of that ship. And then add on the fact that they've lit it. Is that seriously just a decoration, or has somebody completely nuts just decided to do that full time in their front yard? Who knows? Anyway, have a very safe weekend. Enjoy your trick and treating. Enjoy going out. Let me know if you've never heard of Betamax, because I can explain all. And yeah, have a good weekend. We'll see you all next Friday when we'll give away that Yale access system. Good to see you. Sorry about my Wi-Fi issues. See you next week.